Hello dear students, welcome to BAJIRAO IAS Academy interview guidance program. So in this interview guidance program, we have been discussing the current issues which are relevant for 2023 UPSC interviews which have been ongoing. So in today's lecture, we will be discussing about National Green Hydrogen Mission. See, India is ambitious about producing energy from the renewable energy resources. Since green hydrogen has a lot of potential in reducing greenhouse gases and also making India self-reliant and sustainable in terms of energy production, the government of India has launched Green Hydrogen Mission recently. Now in this context, it is important for us to understand what is Green Hydrogen Mission and what is the recently launched National Green Hydrogen Mission, and how the green hydrogen is produced, what is its significance, what are the challenges, and what should be the way forward. Okay, so this is the topic that has a lot of significance and a lot of relevance, and it is important for your mains examination, as well as you can expect questions in your interview from this topic, because climate change and renewable energy is one of the most evergreen topics in UPSC. Now if you look at the renewable energy generation at the global scale, there's a race, literally there's a race to develop and manufacture clean energy technologies. Why the countries have been focused on production of renewable energy is because of the growing climate change related challenges. So therefore the world has been making a rapid transition towards the renewable energy technologies, and green hydrogen is one such technology. However, the government of India in the year 2021 has launched National Hydrogen Energy Mission. Now what is the overall objective of this mission? The overall objective of the National Hydrogen Energy Mission that was launched by government of India is to make sure India is self-reliant and self-sustainable in renewable energy generation and production, and at the same time reduce our dependence on imports. Now if you look at the data of India's energy imports, we have been importing around 85% of our total energy or crude oil requirements from other countries. So therefore it is one of the fossil fuel, and at the same time there's a significant strain on our forex reserves, and it also significantly affecting our inflation. So therefore the National Green Hydrogen Mission or National Hydrogen Energy Mission has been launched to make sure India is self-sustainable in its own energy generation and production. However, in the year 2022 April, India's first 99.999% pure green hydrogen plant was commissioned by Oil India in Jorhat, Assam. Okay, so this was the first plant that was commissioned by India in Jorhat, Assam to produce green hydrogen. Okay, so pure green hydrogen. So in fact in the year 2023 January, cabinet has also given approval for National Green Hydrogen Mission. So National Green Hydrogen Mission is also similar to National Hydrogen Energy Mission. So the overall objective of these missions is to produce green hydrogen and reduce the dependence of India on fossil fuels. Now in this context, we need to try and understand what is green hydrogen. Okay, so we need to understand what exactly is the green hydrogen. Now green hydrogen is a form of hydrogen. Now hydrogen is one of the sustainable energy resources, and it is very often found with the water. Okay, so green hydrogen can be produced by splitting water. Now the chemical formula of water is H2O. Now hydrogen is produced by splitting H2O into hydrogen oxygen using the renewable electricity. So we use the renewable electricity to produce hydrogen and oxygen. So if you compare, apart from the green hydrogen, there are other variants also. There are other variants of hydrogen also available. So they are, one is gray hydrogen and the other is blue hydrogen. Now the gray hydrogen is also another form of energy okay, another form of hydrogen. However, the production methods of gray hydrogen, blue hydrogen and green hydrogen are different. Now if you look at the green hydrogen, the production method is more of a renewable and sustainable and eco-friendly nature. However, if you look at the gray hydrogen is also involves production of hydrogen, but this hydrogen is produced by using fossil fuels. Okay, so therefore it is traditionally produced from methane releasing CO2. So when it is being produced from fossil fuels, it releases carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. So therefore there is no difference between the fossil fuels and the gray hydrogen. So it has same impact on the atmosphere or environment. However, if you look at the blue hydrogen is also similar to gray hydrogen. However, the only difference is blue hydrogen generation also results in emissions of CO2, but this CO2 is captured with new technologies. So this is the basic difference between green hydrogen, gray hydrogen and blue hydrogen, and you have to understand this basic comparison and difference. Now after that we need to understand the mission objectives. Now what are the objectives? So the very simple objective of National Green Hydrogen Mission is to make India hub of the green hydrogen production. Okay, so India has a lot of potential when it comes to green hydrogen production. So the overall objective of this mission is to make India a global hub of green hydrogen production. However, there are a set of outcomes that are being expected by the National Green Hydrogen Mission. So okay, so these outcomes to be achieved by the year 2030. So in this context we need to understand what are these objectives or what are the expected outcomes that we are going to achieve with this mission. So firstly, 5 million metric tons per annum production capacity to be achieved by the National Green Hydrogen Mission. Okay, so over a period of time we are going to scale up the production of green hydrogen and at the same time other renewable energy generation technologies. So around 125 gigawatt of renewable energy capacity addition to be achieved by the year 2030. Now if you remember the Glasgow commitments that were made by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, so it also involves around 500 gigawatt or 50% of total electricity will be produced from the renewable energy resources. So over 8 lakh crore in total investments can be achieved by the Green Hydrogen Mission. So apart from that, creation of 6 lakh jobs in the industry. Now if you look at the green hydrogen, it is one of the evergreen sectors and it envisions creation of 6 lakh jobs in the industry. So it also abates 50 million metric tons of annual greenhouse gas emissions. Now abating the greenhouse gas emission means reduction of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere through the usage of the green hydrogen. So therefore we will be able to meet our climate change commitments that were made during the Glasgow meeting as well as the Paris Climate Summit. So over a period of time, overall it will reduce 50 million metric tons of annual greenhouse gas emissions. Now after that we will be able to reduce the fossil fuel imports by around 1 lakh crore. Now if you look at the data, we are importing around 85% of our total crude oil requirements. Okay, so we are heavily dependent on our crude oil resources from imports from other countries. So therefore we will be able to reduce the usage of fossil fuels imports by around 1 lakh crore. Now if you look at the total energy generation or energy basket of India, around 60% of the total energy is produced from the coal. We have dependent on thermal power plants. So thereby increasing our dependence on green hydrogen will also reduce the usage of fossil fuels such as coal. Thereby India will be able to meet its climate goals. However, it has certain mission components. So what are those components? Now first component of this mission is demand creation. So how can we create demand is through export markets, exploring export market. So once we are able to generate enough green hydrogen, then we will explore the export markets so that the objective is India a global hub for green hydrogen production. So at the same time, India will be able to explore the international markets to export the green hydrogen. Secondly, we need to substitute imports. So as I have already told you, around 85% of our total crude oil imports or crude oil needs are met through imports. So therefore our long-term goal is substituting imports. Now fossil fuels and fertilizer import substitution can be achieved through the green hydrogen mission. Now after that, if you look at the domestic demand has been constantly rising. So in fact, the World Energy Agency has also predicted that India's energy demand or domestic energy demand will continuously rise. So therefore, in order to meet domestic energy demand from the multiple sectors, we will be the domestic demand can be met through the green hydrogen mission or production of green hydrogen. However, we need to focus on incentivizing the existing supply chains. Now in this context, how can we incentivize the existing supply chains? Okay, so that can be achieved through strategic interventions for greenhouse gas or green hydrogen transition. Okay, so this involves direct financial incentives for electrolyzer manufacturing and green hydrogen production. So in this context, financial incentives, financial assistance and support is very much important for the production of green hydrogen. Okay, so therefore when we are able to incentivize the supply chains, and that helps in faster adoption of green hydrogen. Now after that, we need to talk about the key enablers of the green hydrogen production. First, we need to talk about the resources which are required for the green hydrogen production. When we talk about the resources, so what are the important resources? So they are finance, renewable energy, banking, storage, transmission, land and water. So these are most important resources required for the green hydrogen production. Now after that, we need to talk about the research and development. So when we discuss about research and development, it is also a very important component in reduction of the production cost. So when we are able to reduce the production cost of green hydrogen, we can achieve competitive prices. So thereby the affordability can be achieved. Now after that, the ease of doing business is also another major key enabler for green hydrogen production. Now ease of doing business involves attracting private sector participation in green hydrogen production, and that too particularly simpler procedures need to be established. There should be a proper taxation, and SCZ and commercial issues needs to be taken care of thereby. So the overall objective of generating around 125 gigawatt of renewable energy can be achieved. Now after that, we need to talk about infrastructure and supply chain issues. Now when we talk about infrastructure, it is particularly about ports, refueling, hydrogen hubs and pipelines. Okay, so they are very crucial aspects. Now after that, the regulation standards are also very important for green hydrogen production. Now regulations and standards involves testing facilities, standards, regulations, safety. So everything will come under regulation. So all these factors are key enablers, and apart from that, skill development and public awareness is also another major aspect which is a key enabler for the renewable energy generation production or green hydrogen mission. Next, we need to talk about the overall significance of the green hydrogen production or national green hydrogen mission. Now see, we have the intended nationally determined contributions. So everyone knows about that. So what are these intended nationally determined contributions? So every country have to contribute their part for the reduction of greenhouse gases. So we have the intended nationally determined contributions or NDC's target. They were promised in 2015 Paris Climate Agreement. Okay, so what are the India's commitments under NDC? So India committed to reduce its emission intensity by around 33 to 35% by 2000 from 2005 levels by 2030. So this was one of its commitment, and green hydrogen will enable India to meet its promise, meet its commitment. Secondly, we are looking for import substitution. Now, import substitution of energy, crude oil, fossil fuels is also very important. So apart from import substitution, we are also looking to become a net zero by 2070. Okay, so this was stated in 2021 COP in Glasgow. Okay, so the overall India's commitment is move from a fossil fuel and import dependent economy to a net zero economy by 2070. Now after that, India to become a energy independent by the year 2047. Now energy independent actually means that the total energy that is being utilized by India will be produced within India. So apart from production of energy from within India, we are also exploring the export markets to export the surplus electricity. Now after that, India imports around 40% of its primary energy requirements worth of US $100 billion a year. So this is a big strain on our forex resources. So this a factor should also keep in mind. Now when we produce green hydrogen, we will be able to reduce a drain of forex resource. We can also reduce our dependence on fossil fuels. Now apart from that, so ability to replace fossil fuels in those sectors and uses that until now more difficult to decarbonize. Okay, so there are certain industries, so they are very difficult to decarbonize. However, when we produce the green hydrogen, so we can use the green hydrogen instead of the fossil fuels. Okay, so this is a further much applauded or much required step in decarbonizing heavy industries. So this is the significance. So when you are asked about the significance of green hydrogen or renewable energy, you can write about these points, or you can answer these points. Now after that, we need to talk about there are certain challenges as well in this particular mission. So what are those challenges? So firstly, we need to talk about the commercial viability of this mission. Now commercial viability is when production costs are higher, then we cannot expect that the hydrogen energy can be affordable and it can be accessible for everyone. So therefore, the price of kilogram of green hydrogen has to reduce to a benchmark of $2 per kg. So once it came to $2 per kg of green hydrogen, only then at this prices the green hydrogen can compete with the natural gas. Okay, so this is the first point. And second challenge is high cost of production is also another major challenge in green hydrogen production. Okay, so for example, the more expensive than producing hydrogen from any fossil fuel. For example, we have been using fossil fuels, and if green hydrogen production is more expensive than fossil fuels, so of course the consumers will use fossil fuel derived energy. So therefore it needs electrolyzers to build on a large scale. So these electrolyzers can reduce the production cost. So therefore earlier also we have discussed about the key enablers of the green hydrogen. So one such factor is building electrolyzers and financing them. Okay, so thereby we can reduce the cost of production of green hydrogen. Now after that, the energy intensive nature of the green hydrogen production. So we have discussed about the green hydrogen, gray hydrogen, and also the blue hydrogen. So most of the energy production is energy intensive and it requires a huge amount of electricity. Now after that, the storage and transportation is also another major issue. So due to its high inflammability, now if you look at the hydrogen, it has a very high inflammability. Okay, so it can easily catch fire. So because of such a high inflammability, it requires either a very high pressure or low temperatures, and it has a lot of technical difficulties in transportation or storage of the green hydrogen. Now, apart from that, there is lack of infrastructure. Even if we want to build the infrastructure, we lack significant financial resources for building such infrastructure, and private sector participation is also very low in green hydrogen production. So therefore in this context, production, storage and distribution of green hydrogen, which includes lack of refueling stations and pipelines for transporting hydrogen. Now after that we need to talk about the low user acceptance and social awareness as well, and apart from that the private participation in green hydrogen production is also very less. Okay, so if you look at the consumer base of green hydrogen production, or social awareness, social acceptance is very low for the green hydrogen. Now if you look at the way forward for the green hydrogen, we can suggest the following way forward. So firstly, to reduce the production cost, as we have already discussed that production cost is one of the major problem in green hydrogen production. So therefore, in order to reduce the production cost of green hydrogen, it is very important to increase the capacity to generate renewable energy sources in India. First, we need to increase the infrastructure, increase the technology, and also focus on research and development that increases the intensity of production of green energies or renewable energies and reduce the production cost of green hydrogen. Secondly, we need to develop infrastructure for the production, storage, and distribution of green hydrogen. So we lack infrastructure for the production, storage, and transportation, distribution of green hydrogen. So first we need to focus on that. Apart from that, so hydrogen fueling stations need to be set up, there should be pipelines, and there should be storage facilities as well for the green hydrogen. And we need to implement the regulatory incentives. So what sort of a regulatory incentives? Such as tax credits, subsidies to promote the use of green hydrogen in India. So we need to deploy demonstration projects and pilot programs across the country, so that there will be a social awareness, there will be acceptance from the public. And apart from that, we need to encourage the private sector participation in the green hydrogen production, and we need to substantially spend on research and development, so that we can reduce the greenhouse gas emissions, and we can also reduce the production cost of green hydrogen, because that is the essence of the success of the National Green Hydrogen Mission. So that's all about the National Green Hydrogen Mission, and in the next session we will be discussing about few more current issues. Thank you.